Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next session of From Nothing, Lorna's story. We are picking up right where we left off. You're on the ferry down the river Rhyme, who knows?
You're the god of
On
this
the way
land.
to Siren's Respite. You are being ferried by the small gnome that you addressed as a marcher, and has a very strange way of speaking. But
Mm-hmm.
your party is all just sitting astride this ferry as it goes up the river. It moves quickly. It's moving much quicker than you could on foot. Um, it is convenient. You are going upstream.
Is
So,
it going to take us directly to Siren's Respite? Like it'll dock in town, or will we have to walk some ways?
uh, Siren's Respite is along this river.
Okay, so it'll take us right there.
This river will eventually have a branch leading off to Siren's Lagoon, which is the lake Siren's Respite sits on. So, the rest of your journey basically is aboard this ferry. As that happens, let me go ahead and just change the scenery for you. Though, as you are coasting on a river, my music is dying.
Oh no.
Hey, work, please. Uh-oh. It's always something.
Of course.
It can't ever just be
Nothing.
convenient. Okay, that'll work. So, is there anything you wish to accomplish as you have a little bit of downtime while you're riding this ferry?
Lorna is listening to everything the gnome says and is trying to like unlock the pattern of speech that is so out of her grasp.
Okay. As the ferry is coasting down the river, it seems as though he's talking mostly to Anscombe, who has no issue understanding him.
Mm-hmm.
But you hear he like points off the ferry, "Don't ask yesterday," and Anscombe just nods and says, yeah, that is one." Um, Roll me an intelligence check as the gnome
I
speaks more and more.
I believe that I can do this. I rolled really well. 22. She's finally shut up and she's just listening.
Okay. He's speaking common, but it's a very strangely accented common. It takes you, like, after he says something, the whole time, part of you, like, indignantly wants to be like, this isn't a language, that's dumb. But as you're listening, finally you catch some commonalities. You identify, oh, no, that is common. Ironically, where you pick it up is on the word river. And slowly but surely, over the next hour, you figure out the strange tendency of the Marcher dialect to add almost melodic syllables, melodic consonants, melodic nonsense onto words, but you begin to understand the gnome.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. And some things he says, there's nothing. You don't know what the hell he said. But you begin to recognize, yeah, he is speaking common. It's just the most weird butchered common you've ever heard. Imagine, if you will, for an analogy, visiting New Orleans and meeting someone speaking the most harsh, most powerful Cajun you've ever heard, and you just can't.
I don't even know what that sounds like.
Okay, well,
I'll
it,
listen to a YouTube video
yeah,
later.
it takes some time to understand, whoa, that was English, but it sounded like French. Like, it just didn't come through clearly. So over the next hour, you do, with that good roll, you begin to grasp. You can't speak it, but you don't need to. He seems to understand your plain, basic version of common well enough. Whilst you make your way down the river, I need you to roll me a d8.
Okay. Or
Okay. Roll me a d100.
hey. 16.
Okay. Hold on, I'm going to use this for this. Okay. The river widens, and the ferry that you're on is like sticking to one side of the river, mostly for the sakes of the gnome can keep pulling the ferry down the river consistently and smoothly. As you do so, you, with your decent passive perception, spot it's kind of half sunk in the middle of the river, which it's maybe going to be when you pass it like 20 feet away from you. There is the remains of a raft half afloat in the middle of the river. You see on the...
No people?
There's no people. You see on the remains, there is what looks like a few small crates that have like a canvas or a linen draped over them. They're clearly waterlogged. They probably have been out here for days. You see that one of the crates is broken open. It's hard to really tell anything until you get closer. But if you choose to, I'm going to need some checks.
Yes. Lorna would lean over the side and say, "Turn her off the starboard bow." She's playing into being Tier's sister.
I see.
She probably got the side wrong.
No, you got it right. It's...
Hey!
Anscombe and the gnome both turn to look, and Tier says, "That wasn't bad. You got to work on
She
the
looks very
accent a little bit."
Sorry.
As the gnome begins to pull in the direction of that wrecked raft, you coast closer to it. And it's clear that part of the raft, like the ropes and twines that kept the raft in one piece, they came undone. And so it's just like a few logs with these items on top of it. Are you going to disembark from your raft to investigate it, or are you going to look from here?
Lorna can fly,
Okay.
so she'll just the celestial ethereal wings just pop off her back and she'll flutter
Oh,
over
you can
to it.
you look at your skin. The gnome points and is surprised. You get the idea he said, "Oh, would you look at that?"
Yeah.
But it didn't really sound like that. You fly above it, and you can see clearly into the crates. The one that's broken looks like it was broken like cleanly, like someone opened it intentionally. And you don't know what was taken out, but you can see what was left in it. Roll me an investigation to see how much detail you get.
21.
21. Roll me a d100.
Okay. Treasure. 68. Almost nice.
And a D4, please.
2.
Okay. Draped across the crate on the front side of this broken raft, you see there is a banner that is wet and waterlogged and laying over the crates, but on the banner is a symbol. The symbol appears to be a round red sphere with an arrow piercing it. You can roll a religion check because that is a religious symbol.
Okay. 25. I think I rolled it.
That is a
I
natural
did.
20.
Hooray!
That is the symbol of Calciox. Calciox is the god of purification, precision, and medicine. He's favored by physicers, doctors, and rangers alike.
I
He's
might find some medical supplies in here, potentially.
potentially, as you look over the crate that's broken open, you see it is full of all sorts of things. It's not full to the top, but it's really easy to see into it. And it's kind of, some of the things are like afloat halfway in water as you look in. But one thing that strikes your interest that is afloat in the water, but is completely undamaged, is a scroll.
Yoink.
Okay.
Grab that first. Quick on roll just to see what it is.
What did you roll? A 68.
For which? 68.
Okay. It is... I have to roll myself something. Okay. It is a scroll of commune.
Oh. I don't know if anyone in my party had cast that. Maybe Nori. Okay.
It's a scroll, so any of you can cast it.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know, but now I do. She'll tuck
Yes.
that away. She'll relay to her party a barge with Calciox's emblem and crates of things.
Well, we're not quite finished yet.
Oh.
In that open crate, you do also see a tome.
Grab, open, what?
What language do you speak?
Oh, not fucking Marcher for sure. Common, Draconic, Elvish, Infernal, and Undercommon.
It is not in a language that you understand.
Just squint. She's gonna flutter over to the barge. Is it stopped? Does she feel like she needs to work quickly?
The gnome is holding the pole upright. It's not moving
Does
right
it look
now.
like he's struggling?
The river is calm at the moment,
Okay.
so no.
She will open the tome and just show the pages. What language?
Hold on.
Anybody? Anybody?
Let me look at your party. Hold on. Okay.
I can't believe I don't have a language spell. Why don't I have that? Comprehend language, that's what it's called.
That is what it is called. Everyone kind of just looks between each other.
Lorna quietly rages within.
Hold on. I'm double checking to be sure this is correct, but yeah, it doesn't seem like any of your party can understand it. No. None of them speak the language.
Lorna recognize like the language group of the written characters? Like, can she make an educated guess what language it might be written in?
Roll,
So I don't speak Thai, but I know what it looks like.
roll me an intelligence check. Or history. History would work.
History would be better, but so it's a 13 instead of a 10. I rolled really poorly.
You think, based on the shapes, celestial?
Oh. That would make sense with the Scroll of Commune and the godly symbol. Okay, she'll put the tome in her bag of holding and to deal with later. She wanted to make a stop with a cleric in Siren's Respite, so this might be part of that.
Do you know what cleric is in Siren's Respite? Sirens?
Melisandre, I believe.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was said was. Anyways,
Yeah.
she's gonna flutter back to the boxes.
The other two
Start
crates
trying
on
to.
this are sealed, and you're going to have to actually open them.
I mean, she'll start like. How far away is the barge from the crates?
10 feet.
Okay,
However, the
she'll use
barge,
her.
like the crates can't. They're afloat, so it's not like one of your other party members could stand on that raft. It will
No,
immediately sink.
she's mage handing things over.
Okay, the crates are far heavier
Not
than
the
10 pounds.
things in the crates.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can pull out the small the stuff that's in the broken open crate. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
you can start mage handing the stuff out of there. Lots of small things are emerged, little statuettes. You see there's like trinkets and objects that looks like they're small things that might be worth some gold. A lot of it is water damage, though.
That's
I'll
fine.
say you withdraw about 40 gold worth of religious symbolism.
Okay. 40 GP worth of religious symbols. She will try to crack open the other two crates to see if there's anything useful in them too.
How?
A crowbar.
Do you have one?
Every pack has a crowbar.
That's not true.
No. Okay. She'll flutter back over to the barge. Does anyone have a crowbar?
There's a moment, and Anscombe like begins to shuffle through his bag, and he says, "Yeah, I do. I think."
Wish me luck.
Yep. And he passes one over to you.
Flies back.
Okay, roll me athletics.
I'm so good at those.
The crowbar makes it possible.
Oh, it teetered off a natural 1 to a natural 19.
Yeah, the first crate, you managed to prise it open. It's not easy. The crate seems relatively intact, but you do pull it open. Within this crate, you see that nestled on a soft pillow is an amulet.
Ooh. Anything distinct about it? Symbols, arcane runes.
It's just carrying a symbol of Calciox.
Huh. Does it feel mundane?
No.
Oh, I obviously I use my Eldritch Sight. Her eyes light up, and she'll look at it to see if it gives
It's
off
a magic
energy.
item.
A school of magic?
I believe this would be evocation.
Oh, do I think it might hurt me if I pick it up? No, that'd be weird. Calciox doesn't harm on purpose. She'll pick it up with a mage hand and drift it over to the barge and drop it in.
Okay. That's all that was in that crate.
Oh, big crate for a little thing.
It wasn't that big.
Okay. The other crate then.
All right. Go ahead and give it a crack. Roll athletics.
Natural 20!
Okay.
Ugh.
Roll me a D100.
Okay. 26.
Okay. Hold on. Internet's being slow. All right. Roll me another D100.
77.
Okay. There's a few things in this crate. This crate looks like it's a box of personal belongings. And the first thing you pull out, your outer sight is still on. There is a necklace that's like made of hemp, and there are corks along the necklace, and each cork has transmutation magic upon it.
Ooh, I like that. Hempen necklace. Transmutation magic. Okay.
Roll me another D100.
Oh, heck. 96.
Okay. One more D100.
66.
Next to that necklace is something wrapped in canvas. But you do get the scent of ozone, of power from it. So as you pull it out and you begin to unwrap it, you realize you're holding a weapon. It is a scimitar.
Ooh.
It is not a normal scimitar, however. The handle and the blade are entirely made of bone.
Ooh.
You cannot immediately recognize what kind of bone it is, but it seems extremely light. And does give you evocation magic coming from it.
She'll look over at Tierre when she unwraps it and say, I think I've got something for you.
What did you... I don't know. I don't think I liked how you said that.
She'll mage hand it into the boat or the barge.
Oh.
I don't think it's cursed, but don't touch anything until I identify it.
All right. Roll me one more D100, please.
She adds it to the pool of things she's going to have to identify. 66 again. 2 in a row.
Okay. Roll me another D100.
26. I rolled that 3 minutes ago.
Okay. As you delve through the crate, there's lots of like linens and fabrics that look, maybe they're symbolic, maybe they were blankets or something, until you get to the bottom of the crate, where there is one more trace of magic. You find a white porcelain mask with a large pair of eye holes with black streaks running down to a mouth stretched into a too wide black grin. The eye holes are filled with an opaque black substance. It has some sort of magic about it. The school is enchantment.
I mean, poor Lorna, though. So she'll mage hand that into the barge as well. Do I feel like I've stripped the valuable things from this wreck?
Yeah.
She will flutter back. Okay, it'll take a couple minutes each, but I should be able to figure out what most of these things are.
Your party's like looking at the things and that mask is a little bit unnerving.
I know, it's enchantment, which means it could be good or bad. Well, I feel like all of these things could be good or bad, but you know what I mean. It could alter your way of thinking.
So it could.
Which is why I'm testing everything before we touch it. She'll open her book, page to identify, and identify each thing. So it'll be 11 minutes each thing. So I've got the Amulet of Calciox, the hempen necklace, the weapon, and the mask.
Okay. Hang on a minute. All right. As you begin the process of identifying, the amulet proves to be an amulet of the devout, which can be attuned by a cleric or paladin and improves their abilities to channel divine magic.
Okay.
Yeah.
For our group, not super useful, but we could sell it.
The scimitar has a much more intense story about it.
Ooh.
You recognize it is made from the bones of a crag cat.
Okay. Crag cat.
Yes. It is unnaturally light, and it seems as though it is capable of creating grievous injury to those who or harmed by it. It is a scimitar of wounding, mechanically. But there's more to it than that. As you identify the scimitar, a word keeps appearing in your mind every time you think on it. And you realize it's the scimitar's name. Rend.
R-E-N?
R-E-N-D.
Rend. Oh. Is it cursed?
No.
Okay.
You can believe me or not. I don't care.
um, she will explain that to Tier and say, I don't think it's cursed. If you want to use it, I feel like you could do some serious damage with it.
Tier considers the scimitar, and he compares it to his own. He has a +1 scimitar, but he also has just a plain old scimitar that he uses in the offhand. So
now he can have 2 magic scimitars.
He kind of like is weighing the two, and he's like, this one I got for my years of service and working with Triss and learning how to be a ranger. This one we found on a broken boat while we were heading to your boyfriend's house. It just seems like it's not quite equal.
You're a 2-handed fighter. Just carry it in your offhand.
Right, well, which one? Which is my offhand? Because that, by nature, demands less respect, because it's my offhand.
Are you ambidextrous?
No.
Oh.
I'm better with my right hand than my left.
Okay, and you clearly care more about the one that Triss gave you, so keep that in your main hand, and my present to you can be in your offhand.
Your present to me. Right,
yes.
You did so much work for it.
I flew over there, I opened the crate, I identified it, made sure it wasn't cursed before I gave it to you. That's a lot of work.
Alright. Thank you.
You're welcome.
He takes the old scimitar out and sets it down, and he slides Rend into the sheath, and it's almost a fit. You watch as he like snugging into the scabbard, and he just, sure. Well, it was cheap. He like it just slaps the pommel of Rend, and it cleaves right down into the scabbard, ruining the far end of the scabbard, but it fits now.
You can get a new one made when we get to Siren's Respite, probably.
I can stitch this one up when I have a minute.
That too.
Okay. The mask.
Mm-hmm.
One moment, please. Okay. You work to enchant the mask. I need you to roll me a spellcrafting check.
Enchanting it?
No, you're identifying it.
Okay. So I did a spell attack roll, is that right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna use my lucky boon today on this
okay.
because I rolled really bad. 12 sucks. I'm gonna add a d10 to that. Roll 7, so 19. Much better.
Okay.
Bad news, isn't it?
No. The mask. It seems to be resisting your identify. But with a 19, you cut through the resistance. You learn it is a Jack of Blades mask.
Jack of Blades, okay.
You learn this mask, when worn, is not attunement. If you perish whilst wearing the Jack of Blades mask, your soul is magically transported into the mask, where it may remain until you choose to move on to the afterlife. Anyone who puts on the mask can then hear and or speak to your soul. Until you take off the mask, you can keep talking to them.
So you die wearing the mask,
Mm-hmm.
and your body can keep talking
No.
because it's wearing. Sorry.
If you die whilst
Uh-huh.
wearing the mask, your soul, instead of going off to the afterlife, goes into the mask
Uh-huh.
until you choose to go to the afterlife.
Uh-huh.
So your body is dead, regardless.
So it's just basically you can just hang out in there until you decide, I've had enough.
Correct.
But
Or
if someone's wearing it, could they talk to you?
someone could wear the mask and speak to your soul.
But only if they're wearing the mask.
Correct. And the mask can only hold one soul at a time.
I just kind of glance at it. Would I know if it already had a soul in it?
That's part of what you were struggling with to identify. It is empty at the moment.
Empty at the moment. Ooh. Creepy. But I guess
It
if
kind
you
of
wanted
fits
to,
the visage.
yeah, if you want to avoid having your soul stolen, I guess you could keep it in there.
It is also a way, you remember from old stories, for adventurers to prolong the amount of time if a revivify is necessary.
So it could house them until their soul wouldn't like shuffle off and be taken
Correct.
to judgment, basically. So a body could be carried around with the soul in the mask until they could. Okay. She'll explain what it is and its usage to her party and say potentially could we don't have a cleric in our group or someone who could bring us back. It's just an option. But it's like you have to wear it and be prepared for it. So one of us could be wearing it and then a different person in the party could die.
Yeah, it seems a little creepy, and also, well, if people are trying to assassinate you, it would be a good way to keep you from getting got.
Oft. Well, she'll put it in her bag for now. It's something we have, I suppose.
Everyone just kind of nods in uncomfortable agreement. It is a creepy looking mask, and it is
Uh-huh.
macabre in use.
We have the hempen necklace left, the one with the corks.
Ah,
The
right.
transmutation magic.
You identify that.
Uh-huh.
You learn that there are 6 corks on this necklace, and each of them can be used to plug any container. They expand to fit.
So if there was like a hole in a boat,
Could plug it.
a hole in a dam,
You suspect it could probably plug it.
30 feet wide.
You don't know.
Do I know if they're reusable?
Yes, they are.
Huh. Okay. Not attunement. Just
It's just a wondrous item. That's
fucking awesome. All right. She'll toss it in the bag too.
It is just
Well,
called
if we come
it's
across
called
a hole,
it's a necklace of stoppers. That's what it's called.
that's adorable. Okay. Great. What a fruitful endeavor.
That is what you find on the broken raft in the middle of the River Rhyme. So, eventually the gnome looks at you and your party.
Well, he could have taken off when she started identifying.
Okay.
Because it took her 45 minutes to do all of that.
We'll assume that you were traveling while that was happening. Okay. Please roll me another d8.
Okay. 1.
Okay. The rest of this day's travel along the river passes by quietly and without anything of interest. The river rhyme is pleasant, it's pretty, and the weather is comfortable, so you kind of just have nothing to do.
Fine.
Tier does take the opportunity to start patching a scabbard. Norre kind of... She takes you aside and she says, I have a bit of a question.
Yeah. What's up?
I remember you talked about having problems with Enosa.
She blinks. Yes, I did at one point have a bit of an issue with her.
Have you... This is kind of a strange way to ask this question. Have you kind of... I know a lot of different adventurers and people at the academy would pick, like a deity that they would at least ask for help or, pay attention. I know some, focus on a few. I reach out to the fiddler when it makes sense, and Vion when not it makes sense, but have you picked one that you can rely on?
Have I picked one I can
Yeah.
rely on? Well, kind of. A couple, like you said, certain ones serve certain situations better than others, but there are at least two that I feel comfortable with.
I bring it up because now we have this weird creepy mask where if you die, your soul doesn't go with Tysus.
Mhm.
And, people are out to kill you, so
Mm-hmm.
just... You don't have to tell me about it, just if you have an idea.
So you bring up Enosa. Is it because of my history with her that are you worried?
Yeah, I'm a little worried. She's vengeful, from what I've read.
Yes. I insulted her once, and she let me know that she was not happy about that. Um,
What does that mean? How did she
I
let you know?
burned one of her symbols in a fire, and she
Oh,
tortured me a little bit in my dreams until I had the paladin instructor at the Marigard cleanse me and properly dispose of the symbol that she kept returning to me, the burned one. She kept leaving that in my vicinity when I would wake. That hasn't happened since the paladin instructor disposed of it properly, and I did have a prolonged conversation with the Nosa in my dreams. So I don't know if we've neutralized the problem, but she's left me alone.
that's as good as anybody can hope, I imagine.
Yeah. But you're recommending that I get on good terms
Just pick
with
one
a good one.
or
Hmm.
two or all of them. Just, it's good to have one fighting for you. Or at least, might speak up if you end up on the other side of the veil.
Well, she'll like pull her collar down so that the little crescent moon on her neck is showing and say, I think Luminos and I have an understanding.
Okay, that's a good one. She's lighthearted.
She knows that I have the capacity to be sorry for misdeeds, at the very least.
Okay. That's... I guess I'm just worried because there's a lot of stories of a god being pissed off at a mortal and it never going well for the mortal, so...
Right. I appreciate your concern for my afterlife.
The the mask just made me think of it, really. That's... Look, you got it handled. Good enough.
I hopefully have it handled.
I mean, she's marked you, so... They usually don't stick around if they change their mind.
So it would go away if they were like upset with you.
Yeah,
Good to know. I will make sure it's there every couple of days.
I mean, what, you think they would just leave it there if you turned on them?
I'm not super experienced with the gods. I didn't really start developing any relationships with them until I came to the Marigard, and the first relationship I developed was a bad one with Inosis, so
Um, well, I have a news flash for you. They can do whatever they like.
yes, I've realized that.
Yeah, just, I'm not saying toe the line, but just be aware.
Yeah, I have definitely. I think it would be a good idea to foster a relationship. I don't. Well, I'm hesitant to do it just to gain something from it, like protection. That doesn't feel right to me. That feels
It's a trade.
disingenuous.
It's a trade-off. You speak favorably of them and remember them. They get power from that, right? So,
Hmm.
in return, they grant you small boons, benefits, even just attention if or answers if that's what you need. I know some people don't put any stock in them, and I understand that because everyone wants to, make their own way, and some put way too much effort into them. And you see she kind of like is clearly thinking of someone as she says that. Um,
Is she looking at anyone in the group?
no, she's like looking off into the middle distance.
I'm guessing Tam.
But, I think if you're gonna err one way or the other, too much attention on the gods is better than none.
Hmm.
Just because at least then they know about you or care
Yeah.
about you. If even, hey, that one's a little annoying brat.
Um, I have been thinking about it. It's not something I've been ignoring.
Good. I
So I'll
know
take
your
your.
whole your soul is bound up in some weird situation. Um, with an individual who's supposed to be, condemned.
How concrete is that really?
I don't know. I'm not a god or a cleric or a judge. Just saying from
Mhm.
what I've heard and what I've seen and what I've learned.
Right. I appreciate your concern.
Does make for a very telling song in Giant, though.
Have you been working on something?
I'm always working on something.
I know, but like she kind of like gestures to herself, like pertaining to her.
Kinda. To be fair, I've also been working on songs about how many buns Anscombe can eat. So,
How many?
you haven't seen?
I haven't. I have not thought that that was valuable information to have, but now I kind of do think so.
The man can eat 43 honey buns in one sitting.
Well,
Aye, pay attention.
that sure is a man.
Anscombe is like, he's heard his name and he's now looking over.
Lorna will just finger waggle.
And he just looks back out in the direction that you're sailing.
Keep him guessing.
Anyway, not all my songs are important, so maybe don't take that as flattery.
I'm going to.
No one can stop you.
As
Any-
the conversation kind of concludes, Lorna thinks, I can't wait to give her that present. I hope it comes soon.
It by your estimations, it should be any day now.
Uh-huh.
It hasn't yet, but you're certain it will appear at any moment in the next couple days. The raft continues sailing, and as I said before, it is quiet. So the rest of your travel along the river, it comes to the question. The gnome poses the question: Do we sail on through the night, or would you like to rest?
Lorna will ask what he recommends. Is it dangerous at night?
He says, the water's to be a good Skorsky.
Oh, I almost had that.
And he said they get a little unsteady at night. It's safer to wait.
She'll go defer to his better judgment just because she's excited.
Okay.
Doesn't mean that they should do something foolish.
When you make that allowance, the raft then takes a turn off a branch, and you see that it seems as though they have a cove set up nearby just for this exact purpose. The raft pulls into this dank, cool, almost subterranean, dank hashtag 420 Blaze It cove along the River Rhyme. It is actually really beautiful in here. The water of the river kind of echoes with this all around in this cave that's built. It's clear the river carved it out, and then someone came and just hollowed out above the river and made room for what looks like a small little camping ground inside the cove. You cannot think of a safer place to camp. There is literally, you cannot see like the forest around. It's just this cove, and then the river leads out of it.
Oh, nice.
And you will set up camp for the night.
Mm-hmm.
Which, let me go ahead and pull you over to the actual campsite. Do you take watches? Probably.
Yeah, there are assassins.
Yes, there are.
Lorna
Okay.
remains as Teresa while they are with this gnome, by the way.
The whole time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Luckily, it's at
Good to
will,
know.
so it's not a thought.
Yeah. Be gone, thought.
Lorna has no express conversations that she wants to have. Like, if someone wants to hang with her, talk with her, she'll do that. But otherwise, the watches are fine as they are.
I think Anscombe's going to want to talk to you.
Oh, okay.
So, Tier will watch with
I know, it is
Nori.
coming up.
Yeah. As you settle in, first and foremost, please roll me a perception check.
Okay. Dirty 20.
Okay. Hold on while I make a couple rolls.
If the gnome is asleep, she will drop her disguise.
In the first watch, no, the gnome doesn't go to sleep yet.
Damn.
He's like smoking a pipe at the corner of the cove. Like, he gives you your space, but he's like got a book open and he's minding his own business. Yeah, Anscombe wants to talk to you. So as you have your watch, he says, "Hey, how you doing?"
How I'm doing just fine. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good.
Insight
you-
check.
He's nervous.
Yeah, I didn't have to roll.
I wanted to know how you were feeling about meeting my dad so soon, because it's probably going to be tomorrow.
I'm excited. Okay, it was my idea, really.
Did you tell him you were going to warn him before we got there?
I guess I could. I have the magic for it. I wasn't sure. Yeah, I gave him a gauge, but letting him know that we're meeting him tomorrow is a good idea. I should probably do that. Do you have anything you want to say to him before I send this?
Nope. Nope. Anything I can tell him, I'll tell him myself.
Does he seem certain of that? Or
Yeah.
does it look like he wants to? Okay. I'm trying to remember what his first name is. Hold on. I wrote it down. I wrote it down. I swear to God, I wrote it down. I knew it began with a B. Okay, I don't have it. What is it?
You can ask Anscombe.
Anscombe, what's your dad's name?
Bulkrin.
Bulkrin. I As I asked him, I see it in my notes, Bulgrin. Well, it'd be kind of forward if I was like, "Hello, Bulgrin." So I think I might just call him Mr. Frost still.
You know best.
Or inwardly thinks, "I don't know anything. I've never done this before." But she does not say that out loud because she needs to keep the
As you
air of
say that, you
capability.
hear, "It's not entirely true."
What do you mean?
We've spoken with parents before.
Parents of significant others?
Mm-hmm.
Whose? For Remus's?
No. They've been dead for forever.
Oh,
Malcolm's parents.
you met them?
They were at my wedding.
Were they nice?
Very much so.
That's good.
I think they saw me as a tragic case of, like, correcting a person. Which I suppose was true, as I think back about it.
Uh, you mean you were a work in progress?
Mm-hmm. As if Malcolm would fix me. And I suppose he did. And then I broke.
Uh, okay, is it scary? Is it hard to meet parents of someone you're trying to impress?
Yes. There is the undying need to show them you're worth the attentions of someone they've loved their entire, well, for the entire existence of that person. You're trying to prove to them that you're better for them, in some cases, than their parents are, because they'll be spending their time with you instead of them.
Right. And Lorna's thinking, like, I wasn't really nervous, but now I feel like I am. It's the
But
reverse of a pep talk.
but the truth is, you have to be yourself,
Right?
because you can't hold a facade forever. You can hold it for an awful long time, but it will slip. And it would be dishonest to your partner.
Right.
So, just be you.
Do you think that will impress him?
It doesn't matter. You want to impress him, but in the long run, whether he is impressed or not is entirely upon him and his decisions about you. You cannot make a person think something they don't already think.
I guess I was more asking if, your child brought me home, would you be impressed with me?
If I had a child and they brought you home with them, yes, my
Does she seem
world would be
honest?
shaken.
Does she seem like she's being honest?
Yeah?
Hee. There's a kind of like a beat where Lorna's just like, hee. But then she thinks, um, you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but it got my question brought to mind. Did you ever have children?
No, I
Did
couldn't.
you? Oh,
One of the first marks of my wounds.
which life?
You misunderstand. I was magically wounded
Oh, I I
when
guess
I
I've just
was
never heard of that.
when I was a matron in Lucifax. My ability to procreate was taken from me magically.
Oh,
So, I see you as the daughter I could never have. Which makes me truly wish I could have done things so much differently.
well, I'm glad to have you with me now.
Despite it all, I'm glad to be here with you.
I think that deeply touches Lorna, because in previous conversations, that has not been the sentiment that Lily has felt. Whether it was based on Lorna or not, it was, I'm suffering. This is terrible. Which, fair enough, she totally is. But it's nice to hear that it's not all bad.
Right.
So Lorna won't push that further, but she'll just kind of quietly delight in that.
Lily is quiet after that.
And Anscombe was probably sitting there just like waiting for Lorna to send her
He just
message.
assumed that you were doing like magic something, so he's kind of just.
Okay. When she finally kind of pulls herself away from her internal musings. All right, I'm going to send that message.
Oh. I would have. You didn't already?
I got a little distracted.
Okay.
Mr. Frost. She begins casting, sending. It's Lorna again. We're on the River Rhyme. Expect to see you in about half a day. Lorna is going to speculate, what time does she think? If it's evening now and they still have half a day's journey.
Probably afternoon.
So she'll say, probably in the afternoon. See you soon.
There is a pause, and then you hear, "Oh, that's soon." Right. I'll meet you at the docks. That's all he says.
He gives Anscombe a thumbs up. He's going to meet us at the docks.
Anscombe doesn't look any relaxed, but he does say, That's good. That's a good way to. All right, good."
They'll spend the rest of their watch trying to take his mind off of being stressed.
Okay.
Like, talk to him, play games with him, whatever it takes to get him to relax a little bit.
I mean, you get the impression that he's mostly nervous, not for you. Like, he's nervous.
Oh yeah, I know. He's nervous
Okay.
about his reception into the town he left with
Yeah.
a bad reputation. So she's aware of that, and she's trying to take his mind off of it.
Roll me charisma.
Okay. 11. Man, he must be nervous, or I'm really bad at this.
You do a decent job of distracting him. It's clear he recognizes that you're trying to, and he appreciates it. I'll say by the end of your watch, he's in a better mood.
Okay.
But there are some things that you just can't fix.
Mm-hmm. She'll crawl into his bedroll when they go to bed.
Okay. For next watch, Skulna. All right. I will roll for the next
Nore
watches.
are on a watch. I noticed you did that.
Yes, they are.
Mm.
Oh.
Lorna may try to eavesdrop for a little bit.
They're in third watch, so you're going to be unconscious at that point.
You think I can't just wake up?
You can try.
I'm gonna try.
Okay. Roll a wisdom saving throw.
And damn it.
You don't, I'm afraid. You
Damn,
sleep all the way through it. As you go to sleep, you're like, I want to wake up when you're talking, and then you just... Yeah.
It's probably for the best. It's an invasion of privacy, and I'm a bad person for wanting to do it.
You wake up to Lilith kicking you on the foot and saying, "Hey,
Oh.
breakfast."
Oh. Shit.
What?
Nothing.
Okay. Yeah, there are no events during the long rest. The bonus the Cove gave you meant that any encounters that could happen basically didn't. So, you awaken and the day of travel continues. You are soon coasting down the River Rhyme once again.
Do Tyr and Nora seem all right?
Roll an insight check.
Now I'm nosily involving myself in their relationship for no reason. Natural 1. God fucking damn
You
it.
have.
It's not meant to be.
You're pretty sure Nore is furious with Tier, and you don't know why.
I can imagine it's probably because Tyr is Tyr.
Probably.
Actually, as the barge gets underway, Lorna will like pull Tyr aside and be like, "What did you do to Nora?"
Why do you want to know?
She looks mad.
Does she?
Yeah, look at her. Look at the way her brows are furrowed.
What? Are you all right?
She looks mad to me. I just
She's
figured
not.
something happened. What does she look like to you?
That's not mad.
What is it? Can you explain it to me?
Yeah. You remember back when we were fooling around, you'd look at me like that every once in a while.
Mad at you?
No. Well, yeah, but no.
I see.
I mean, I could put these pieces together in a more obvious way if you need.
She kind of shrugs.
Tier, like, glances over at Nore, who is distracting herself. It looks like she has, like, parchment out, and she's, like, writing what looks like music. And she glances up at Tier, which she has done before, which is where you read the insight check, that she was mad, where she had, like, an eyebrow raised. And then she sees you talking to Tier, and Nore's face, like, completely changes. But with your nat 1, you don't know what it is. And Tier says, "We've been caught. How do I put this?"
She leans closer, expectantly.
When we get to Siren's Respite, we're going to get a room separate.
I see.
Much like you and Anscombe have a room separate, alright?
Mm-hmm. I see.
She's horny.
Ugh. Absolutely scandalized by that. Stands up and says, "Well, good talk, buddy," and whaps him on the back.
Don't ask questions which you don't want the answer to.
Walks away. It's only like 5 feet because it's a barge.
Yeah, there's not really any room on the raft for you to go anywhere else, but you hear Tears just chuckling as you're all
Flustered.
yes, it's very funny to him.
Can before they get there, can Lorna it's an illusion, right? Like her disguised self is an illusion that you can see through with a DC.
Yeah.
Can she try to primp herself in preparation for meeting Anscombe's dad through her illusion? Since she knows
You want to see through your own illusion to fix
but she
yourself.
she doesn't want to drop it because there's still a gnome.
Yeah, you can do that.
So she wants to but if the gnome bothered to look, she'd be moving hair that isn't there and things like that.
Okay, the gnome doesn't notice.
Yeah, he's busy. She figured, but she doesn't want to drop the disguise. She just wants
Sure.
to. She still wants to look nice, but she can't do it.
Okay.
You understand what I'm going for.
Yeah. Anscombe says, "That looks really strange."
Yeah.
Do you want...
I promise underneath looks great, though.
I knew that. Do you want some help?
Is she struggling with her?
He can't tell.
Well, look closer. You'll be able to see through it. It's a DC 17.
Okay, after a long moment, he does see through it, and he says, "Oh, darling, you got some..." And he will cast Presty.
Yay! Some breakfast on her face,
yeah,
probably.
you have, like, soil along your cheek from where you laid in the cove. And he Presties you, just cleans you off. Yeah, no problem. You begin to smell something new in the air. It is the smell of No, you've smelled fish. There's been lots of that. There's no... This river
way
is
around
teeming
that.
with fish.
Gotcha.
You smell bread. Like freshly baked bread. It is just a hint of it on the air, but your passive perception is high enough. As you're coasting down the river, Siren's Respite can't be more than a few miles away.
Oh, she'll actually look at Anscombe and be like, he's gonna meet us at the docks.
Yep.
And she kind of gestures to her disguise. Would he think it, like, should I be me when we meet, or will he think it's weird when we get back to his place that I drop a disguise?
I think you should be you.
She'll look at the gnome. Should we just drop it?
Probably. He won't care. Or he will, and it's not our problem anymore.
She'll just drop it.
Okay, you drop the disguise.
After primping through it.
Yeah. The gnome looks over at you, blinks, and then keeps looking down the river.
Yep, she'll just... Alright, well...
What did you expect was going to happen?
I don't know.
He's going to ring a warning bell that there's someone in a different form?
I don't know anything.
Lilith chuckles, and she's in disguise as well. She just is like...
But it's fine if she is, like...
Yeah, she doesn't drop disguise.
She's not meeting Anscombe's dad under this pretense.
It's true. Slowly, though, the raft is pulled up along the river, which is still calm. You've been blessed with good weather rolls. Until you are pulled up alongside the docks outside of Siren's Respite, which is a small, comfortable little town. It is the smallest town you've ever seen.
Oh. Peasantry.
Yeah. There is a high stone bridge just ahead of the docks, and you're pretty confident, yeah, the raft could go right underneath that. But next to you, the docks, they are stout and short. And you do see they're as busy as they're going to get. There are a few other little river boats that are basically like moored, or they're going out down the river just for the fishing the river offers. And you know that geographically, this river will route around and then to the lake that's on the other side of Siren's Respite. If it's just a branch or what, you don't know. But you do see, seated on the dock, standing up as your boat pulls into it, a full-fledged orc.
There he is.
Stands up. And as he does, Anscombe, like, physically tenses.
Yeah, Lorna will just quick pressy poof to get his hair nice and neat. Any dirt off his face and clothes.
As the raft is pulled into the dock and the little gnome begins to tie it off. Let's go to East Garden. Hope you have a good day.
And Lorna try to be like, thanks for the lift in Marcher.
You're gonna try? Okay. Straight intelligence.
Okay.
See how well you piece it together.
Yes, 23.
You say it. It's not perfect.
Uh-huh.
But you get the accent in, and the gnome just looks at you and then... That's not so bad! He seems cheered by the fact that you attempted. And then the gnome, like, says something to what looks like the dock authority, which is just an old human man with gray hair who's seated on a rocking chair, and he has, like, a pedestal with parchment on it. The gnome, like, gives him a coin, and then the gnome walks off into the town. While that happens, your group, who are clearly mercenaries, like...
In this itty-bitty town?
Yeah, you're geared, you have, like, all your equipment, you have these packs, it's really obvious that you are trained militant.
Killers.
But this old orc, like, steps up towards the edge of the dock, and Anscombe says, "Hey, Pop." And Bulkrin just is looking down at all of you, and he holds out a hand, like, toward the dock, like, to help you guys up out of the boat, and he says, "I'm glad to see y'all. Traveled safely." And he offers a hand up to you and to everybody else.
When Lorna takes it, she'll be like, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Lorna.
Oh. He, like, looks over at Anscombe, and then back to you, and he says, you don't look like your voice sounds. And then...
I hope that's a good thing.
You're very, you seem very pretty. And he, like...
I seem very pretty.
Helps you onto the dock, and then we'll help, like, everybody else up.
I think Lorna will just say, I think I know where Anscombe gets it from.
It seems to run in the family.
Adorable.
Everyone else is let up off of the raft onto the dock, and Bulkrin says, "Well, I'm pleased to see you all." And everyone begins to introduce themselves. After the long introductions, Bulkrin says, "Let me show you around the town. If you're going to be here a few days, it might make yourself comfortable to know what's around." And he does. He basically, like, turns... It's clear he's not used to, like, entertaining. He just turns around and begins to walk. And Anscombe, like, next to you says, "Yep, that's my pops." And Anscombe is, like, head is on a swivel while that happens.
When Lorna realizes they're going into town and just, like, Anscombe's worried about his reception, she'll take his hand and hold on to it.
He squeezes your hand with his and he says, "Thanks." He just is tense as a board, even though you're offering some comfort. Roll me a perception check.
Okay. 18.
18. With an 18, as you're walking through the town, you do catch that, like, a lot of these buildings are clearly just residences and businesses that are built entirely off of fishing. This, like, there are fisheries, there are clearly fish sales happening in the market here, but there are also lots of, like, smokers and dryers and just scalers that are literally handling all the fish coming in, preserving them, and then preparing them for shipment out of Siren's Respite. So at first glance, it almost seems a little industrialized on the main streets here, just because there's no showmanship about crating and smoking fish. They're just doing it.
Sure, it smells great.
It actually does smell great. The smoking of fish smells amazing. Like,
that's true. Cooked fish and raw fish are very different smells.
Yes. The gross low tide smell doesn't really seem to have any hooks here. The fish are not kept in town long enough to really rot, or if they are, they're doing something with it that the smell is not lingering. And you don't know what that is, but you're grateful for it because the town doesn't smell like butt.
Hooray!
As you're walking, Bulkrin gestures to a large structure. And the large structure is a 3-story building, and it is the largest structure in the town, with the exception of the large stone building that's up on a hill above, like, Siren's Respite. It is labeled the Lakeside Inn. And Bulkrin says,
Lorna remembers that name.
"Yeah?"
Yeah.
Bulkrin says, "If y'all are staying in town, you'll probably be here. It's, clean rooms, good ale. Best behavior now." He says that when he glances at Anscombe, and Anscombe says, I know. Don't worry.
Give it the hand a squeeze.
Roll me an insight check.
Okay. Please don't suck. 19.
19. With a 19, you catch... You're turning a lot of heads. You expected that. In this small town, you kind of expected there'd be a lot of people turning and looking, but you do catch a lot of people are setting eyes on Anscombe, and then they're turning and, like, talking to somebody else, or, like, they're looking at him. Some of them looking a little maybe suspicious, or, like, untrusting, like they're expecting something to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You get the impression people are looking at him as a pariah.
Yeah. If she catches anybody like that, she's gonna give them a look.
When you do that, Anscombe squeezes your hand and says, It's all right. I know. That's what we're here to prove prove wrong, right?
Right.
And then he, like, turns and looks at them, and he just, like, happy smiles and waves.
Hello.
At one particular person, an older woman with black hair that's, like, graying on the edges, he says, I'm sober now. I promise. She just is, like, watching as you guys walk by. You're not on horses. Nope, she bought that. He says as you keep walking. I may have ruined something. Forever ago. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about it later. Bulkrin is, like, leading the way, and he's like, over there you can always find, well, you can find plenty of fish anywhere, but if you want the choice, tastiest, you want to buy it from Gully's. Amazing. If you're looking for a souvenir, they have all sorts of little trinkets in front of the lakeside, but if you're more of the tinkering type, My Groves is where you'll stop. And it's the most unlike any other building in Siren's Respite. It is a structure that looks as though its walls are made of copper, and it has a round roof to it. And the front door has a smaller door in it, like a gnome-sized person's door.
Ah.
It doesn't look like it's even necessary. And when you make that connection in your head, Lilith says, why would a gnome need to use a smaller door? A bigger door would work the same, right? And Bulkrin does. Bulkrin, like, looks back and says, that's a good question. I never asked Mygrove that. Maybe you all. If you do, please tell me what he says if you stop in.
We have a few things that we could sell. I was aware that there's a cleric in town.
Yeah.
I think we might need to stop there as well. I have a few questions.
Oh, if you need it, there's a temple to Melisandre over on the far side of the town, just on the coast of the lake.
Great, I have this cursed potion. I'd love to be uncursed.
You have a curse?
No, she pulls out the vial from her bag. This is cursed. I'm completely curse-free, I promise.
Well, all right. We can talk about that. Well, let's get your feet up out of the dust and sit down for a minute first.
Sure.
Lorna
actually thinks, am I curse-free? Not 100% sure about that.
You hear in your head, for the moment. You follow Bulkrin until he leads you towards the marina, which is right on the edge of the actual lake itself, where you can see the river Rhymes branch coming in, and right at the corner there is a little house with docks pointing out to the river and out onto the lake itself, and you see that there's a whole slew of equipment just for going out on the water. You see there are, like, ropes and nets and tackle and traps and cages all along the side of the house, and Bulkrin, like, stands and looks at it, and he turns to Anscombe and he says, "You don't have to do any farming while you're around, don't you worry." And Anscombe replies, I mean, if you need crab, I don't mind." And there's just kind of an awkward pause, and Bulkrin is like looking at the cages. And then to you, Anscombe will whisper, "There was always a better swimmer for the crab farming."
Farm? Crab? Crab
Yeah,
farm?
crab farming.
The points aren't connecting for her. Is it something I'm too rich to understand? She doesn't say that, I do. You farm them?
You
I
used
thought you
to.
just fished them.
You set up. They're criddle farm. They're criddle crabs. They're little guys. They grow in lakes. You drop the cages in, and you put them in the right places, and the crabs. It's. And he he begins to like explain the process of farming criddle crabs, and then after like a moment, Bulkrin says, "All right, why don't we all come inside?" And it's just right, okay. As you head inside, you're heading up to the front door, the door suddenly opens. There is a towering, like 6'8" half-orc woman that emerges out the door. She's attractive. She's a very good-looking, like maybe early 20s half-orc woman with black hair.
Go on.
As she opens the door, you see she has like baskets of. It's hard to describe what it is. It's probably crab shells at a guess, but you don't know for certain. And she looks over and she says, "Oh, Anscombe, you're home. And who's..."
Lorna looks at Anscombe.
Anscombe's like surprised to see her, and he says, Hey, Mindy.
Mindy.
This is my partner, girlfriend, leader, commander."
All acceptable terms. It's nice to meet you. I'm Lorna.
Mindy like shrugs a basket onto one arm and holds out another to shake your hand. She says, "Welcome to the old homestead."
It's a pleasure to be here.
Do you
Lorna's
shake
still
her
trying
hand?
to put together. Yeah, of course. Like, who is this person?
Mindy's like huge hand swallows yours in a huge shake. She says, "We look like a breath of fresh air out here in this old salt-ridden town. I expect to learn all about you." And she like is looking at you and she says, "Right, Anscombe? You're gonna fill me in, yeah?" And yeah, of course. Bulkrin is like watching this happen and he says, "All right, Mindy, you can finish getting those over. And I'll have something cooking by the time you get back." She nods and she just looks at the rest of your group and she just goes, "Bye," and walks off with these huge baskets. Sure.
What's the vibe? Because I don't remember Anscombe talking about this person. 21.
With a 21, there's definitely some familiarity between her and Anscombe.
Sure.
She seems genuinely friendly.
Mm-hmm.
You don't sense any, like, animosity or...
That's good.
Deception. Like, she seemed genuinely surprised that you were all there.
Uh-huh.
Anscombe looks like a guy in an awkward situation.
If she can get a moment where Bulkrin's like faced away or just a little bit away from them, she'll be like, "Who was that?
Pop's helper."
Oh, she's pretty."
Yeah. What? You said it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Totally.
Don't worry, I'm not her type.
Eyebrow raise. She'll like look at the party and be like, "Who is?"
I don't know. I don't know. Volkrin,
She'll skip inside.
like, opens the door for all of you, and you all come inside. It's a very comfortable little cottage. The main room has a huge fireplace that looks like it's used to burning all the time. And the entire building smells of cedar smoke, which is a very pleasant smell. It's like the most powerful cedar smell you've ever smelled. You feel like you just walked into a barrel.
Mhm.
And there is a moment where you hear Anscombe just inhale. I miss that.
Hmm.
Volkrin, like, goes back into the kitchen and he says, "Y'all make yourselves at home. I just gotta get this pot back on the burner."
Lorna
And
like doesn't even know what making yourself at home feels like.
you look around, you see there is like a huge log-built sofa that runs all the way the length of one wall. It's clear it's was made probably by Volkrin or by somebody who was building it for the house.
Mhm.
And lining it is all these what look like straw stuffed pillows that just go all the way down the whole length. It is opposite the enormous fireplace, and you see next to it is built into the wall, which what I mean by that is a log is hollowed out and then filled with books. Tons of them. All along an
Oh.
entire wall is just countless tomes.
She's going to definitely wander over there and pick something interesting.
Something interesting. What does that mean to you? Or to Lorna?
Something potentially personal, like maybe, I don't know, are photo albums a thing in Amaranth?
Not really. There's not really
Okay.
that many ways to make pictures.
Artificers, I guess, have the monopoly on that.
Yeah.
Well, she's not looking for like a diary, but she's looking for just
Okay. You find all sorts of little books. At a glance, you see the Book of 12 Seasons. You see a short history of dwarves. You see spells we are still trying to make work.
that's the one.
That's the one you pick up?
Oh yeah.
Okay. As you pick it up, as you like immediately sheath through a couple pages, it's clear this book is humorous. Like, it's light reading. You immediately recognize spell effects that you know spells that can do that, but they're way beyond the means of like just a citizen of a town, of a
Right.
fisher. Like spells that can create a wall of water to keep the weather away, that exists. You know the spell that can cast that, but it's just very powerful and beyond the average reader of this book. There's various other like magical incantations that look like they're almost a spell, but looks like it was written by somebody who's heard somebody casting spells, did not do any actual study. And for a wizard, it is probably very entertaining for you to skim
Oh
through
yeah,
this
she's
book.
enraptured by this.
While
That's
this
what she does.
while this happens, your party all kind of like gather around and look around the house. Anscombe seems to have found a spot that is very familiar to him. He sits at the corner of the couch and he pulls out a corn cob stool that you didn't even know it was there. He pulled it out from underneath the couch and then puts his feet up on it. Okay, some things you never forget. As he leans back on the couch.
Lorna idly thinks about what it'd be like to go back to her home in Iron Gate and just kind of shudders.
I mean, when you think about that, you hear, no, we had impeccable taste.
That house wasn't the problem.
Right.
I'm sure there are many. I would love to go back. I'm sure there are many things about it that I miss, like the garden and the glasswork. But maybe when the house is empty, that'll be feasible.
If you find it, you might like calicinth tea. I was always growing my own calicinth flowers out in the front, because the tea is delicious.
I never really looked. I wonder if they're still there.
Maybe.
She kind of tries to picture the front of the house. But I don't know if she knows what that plant looks like.
Roll a history check.
15?
Calisynth flowers are very distinct. And with a 15, you remember what they look like. They're distinct flowers that have generally 8 petals and a round edge. And you turn the actual leaves from the stem into the tea. But the petals themselves are beautiful. They're white in the center that kind of radiate to a golden brown color. They're very
Does she
simple
remember
flowers,
those?
but they're pretty. You don't remember seeing them on the front of the house, but you do know what they look like. You also know they are frequently used in ingredients for potions.
Ah, that makes sense too. She'll bookmark that thought.
Okay. You watch as your team all kind of like mill about in Anscombe's childhood home. Childhood? Well, teenagehood?
Sort of.
Yeah. Nore sits down on the couch and she's like experimenting with the straw stuffed pillows. Do you sit on the couch?
Yeah.
It is handmade. You immediately, like, that's the thought that comes to your head is like, this guy built this. Like, everything is a little bit too firm, but it's still comfortable. Like the straw that was shoved in these pillows, there's a lot of it. And it's a little pokey in places, but you shift a little and it gets comfortable. And as you are like getting comfortable, and Tierra and Anscombe all like have found their seats, and Skolna is in the corner of the room and is looking at the paintings on the wall, because on the far side of the sofa, which I didn't really describe, there are lots of paintings on the wall, but they're not paintings of anyone you recognize. You see there are portraits and group paintings of an orc with people. Some of them are half-orc, some of them are humans, some of them are elves. They're all sorts of different people. And as Skolna's looking at them, you hear Anscombe speak up and say, "Fishing crew. It's Pops and the fishing crews that go out on the lake. Well, the ones that stick around." And Skolna, like, glances back to him and nods. "Not all of them stay. I guess Pops can talk about that, but I guess the lake can be kind of dangerous and people get scared. So..." And Bulkern does eventually come back in, and he has a massive pot. It's enormous. You can probably fit not a child. You could probably fit a gnome in it. You could, but that's not the point. He sets it in the fireplace, and it's... I don't know how big of a fan of fish Lorna is, but it smells so good.
How close to the shore is her hometown? Is it pretty landlocked?
It's pretty landlocked.
So do you think fish would be rarer there?
Oh, yeah.
Is it something that would be harder to get?
So the fish that you've probably experienced while living in Irongate are likely smoked fish. Fish that can travel really well and still taste good and be fresh. Fresh fish is like a delicacy. Like you rarely ever
in a
saw
noble
it.
house.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the fish that she did have was really good fish.
Yes, but it was rare even for there. Like,
right. So I think it's not something that she ate a lot of, but like she enjoyed it when it was good.
Sure.
Like she didn't develop a taste for it. It's not like she had a lot of it.
As soon as the flames hit the bottom of this pot, the sweet and savory smell of fish and herbs and spices just... it is profound. As those smells fill the air, Bulkrin says, "I made y'all a little trick of mine, an old sailor stew. Been making this for all sorts of travelers over the years, and, well, it always kept me full. So hopefully you like it. The trick is wild carrots." As he begins to pour out bowls, As you are handed a bowl, you notice there's no dining room table. There's no table to be seated at. You are given a
Very
wooden
homey.
bowl with a spoon, and he says, "You eat up.
Of course.
Tell me what
She'll
you
take
think."
some.
Okay.
Is it good?
It is delicious.
Yee.
If you like fish, it's fucking amazing. If you don't like fish, it's still good. You just are hitting the proteins that you're like, eh. But,
I think Lorna likes fish.
okay, then it is absolutely delicious.
Yee.
It fills you up. It warms you to your very core. The broth is thick and savory. It is better than anything you've had far as stew goes, made by the golems within the Merryguard Academy.
And occasionally Halliwell Halitheth.
Yeah. You imagine Halliwell would eat his own arm to get the recipe for this stew.
Lorna would probably, after eating some of it, give extensive praise. Probably too much, because she's trying to compensate.
Sure. Bulkern stew gives you 20 temporary hit points.
Holy shit! I had 7 from something else, but I'll replace that. Fuck.
Everyone is not saying anything. Everyone's just eating
Just
this
too
stew.
busy eating.
And it seems like a comfortable silence. Like Bulkern is also just eating the stew, and he's sitting in a rocking chair. Much, it's like the same rocking chair every old man has. It
Sure.
creaks on both rocks. It has really spindly legs, but really wide rockers. Like, you think there was a sale at some point at some carpenters. But as he's eating it, he's like quietly enjoying the food. The pot gets like half full, and when he finally finishes his bowl, he's the slowest eater out of all of you by far. He sets it down. Right. So, I want to welcome you all to the Frost home.
Thank you for having us.
My son seems real infatuated with you.
Lorna looks at the rest of the group, wondering if he's talking about the whole group or just her.
Bulkerin's eyes are on you, and they are. It may be a little uncomfortable how
She looks a little flustered.
intensely he's looking at you, and Anscombe like, is this the time? And Bulkerin just, man, there's something to be said. I gotta say it. Do you mind?
He's asking me or answering
He's
me.
asking you.
No, of course not.
The Frost family's taken a bad turn over the years. Things have been rough for us. Most of those I care about are gone. Been taken by war, monsters, misfortune. I saw the Academy as a way of turning things around for, well, my only son. To be honest with you, I didn't know how well it would turn out. Things were scary. Proud as I am, a lot of decisions I was responsible for. Anscombe made, and he made the wrong ones.
Hello, person who is still alive.
Hello.
Anyway, Bulkrin leans forward in the rocking chair. They tell stories of mercenaries finding their fortunes, or becoming truly good men because they went to the Merryguard and learned the ways of the mercenary, ways of heroes and such. I didn't care about that. What I cared about was that my boy might make a difference to somebody, and that difference not being the cost of a broken window, the soiling of a table, or some such. Also, He might grow to be older than me. The road he was on, I wasn't so sure of that. But nothing hurt so much as the day that I saw him take the barge up the river. Not to come back for over a year now. I want to ask you one question. What do you think of my boy?
I think Lorna was not prepared for the intensity of this conversation. But she listens very seriously, and takes him very seriously, and she kind of mulls over her words. And finally, she kind of like meets him square on, like she looks at him. Even though his eyes are really intense, it's hard to.
He has
But
the
she
same
says-
green eyes as Anscombe, but they're much, like the pupils are much bigger, so it almost gives it a more intense look.
Mhm. I think that I'm incredibly lucky to have him in my life. That I'll do anything for him. And that I love him.
Roll a persuasion check. Or a deception check.
Wouldn't that be funny? No, that would be
It
terrible.
was all a trick.
Natural 20 for a 28.
Volcran Frost looks at you as you speak. Roll me an insight check.
Not as good. A 14.
Well, he's not a hard man to read.
Okay.
You get an impression that you didn't expect, I don't think. He looks relieved. He looks over at Anscombe. Dude, just go.
Oh.
Jesus fuck.
Take it tonight.
Sorry, everybody. He looks over at Anscombe. You took it serious. You took everything I said. From day one. Anscombe just looks back at him and nods. There is quiet in the room, the only noise being the crackling of the fire underneath the remains of the stew pot. Volcran stands up. He walks over to Anscombe and pulls him into a hug, a brutally firm one. The rest of your party is like watching this happen, and you swear you catch a sniffle.
From who?
Roll an insight check.
I have a theory. Ah! God. 13.
You don't know.
Damn. I already used my bonus for today. Wait,
did.
I didn't. Because that was that
was yesterday.
was yesterday. I'm going to use my bonus for this.
Okay.
Because I didn't have to use it for the persuasion check. 7. 20.
You catch the disguised Lilith just wipe at her cheek.
Yes, I knew it was Lilith. Me too, Lilith. Me too.
As you turn back to look, Volcran is in the process of reaching down. You feel his hand wrap around your wrist, and then he yanks you up into the hug as well.
Oh, okay. I'm coming too.
As you're pulled into the hug, you then hear, "Come on, the rest of you. You
Does
all mean
everyone
something to
join
my
the
boy."
hug?
And it takes a moment of like everyone just like looking at each other, but your party all get up and hug this old orc who
Even
seems
Skolna?
Skolna's in there.
Aw.
And in this heartwarming moment of basically, like, just relief and acceptance and, well, love, that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
Oh.
All right. As we come to the end of the session, I want to thank you for playing with me, and I hope you had a good time as you finally made it to Siren's Respite. To those of you who are at home or work watching, hi Pen, hi Emily, hi class.
Hi.
We love you all, and I wish you a good night.